Okay, joining us right now, Seattle Times Mariners reporter Adam Jude on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Adam, how's it going? How's Detroit?
Fantastic. Just got in a couple hours ago. Just walked into the press box at Comerica Park, and I snuck into a radio booth here appropriately. And now I'm watching the Mariners just starting some infield work here. So they made it, I made it, and all's good in the world, I think.
We're happy you guys all got there safely and can't wait to see your continued coverage here. A massive Game 3 and 4, obviously. What did it feel? Obviously, the Mariners get a win last night, badly needed. What did it feel like the difference was in that game, and do you think they can carry some of it over to Game 3?
Yeah, it ultimately comes down to a couple decisions here or there, maybe even one decision here and there with Dan Wilson going to Gabe Spire there in the fifth inning. And then obviously Jorge Polanco doing something a no-hitter has done off Tarek Skubal in 4 years with two bombs. And then you got your two superstars, Cal and Julio, coming through there. So, a 3-2 game in both games. The Mariners come out on top in Game 2, obviously, last night. And, I expect the rest of this series to play out very similar fashion. These are two pretty evenly matched teams, and the Tigers have quite a bit of postseason experience from last year, so they kind of have the edge there. But, I think the Mariners are in good shape with Logan Gilbert coming tomorrow, too. We're about to talk to him shortly here. So it's been a really entertaining series so far, and I'm feeling like it's going to go – it's going to go all the way. I'm thinking we're coming back to Seattle for Game 5 in a few days, and it's been a fun one, and I think it's going to continue to be too.
Hey, I watched Castillo's performance yesterday, and I felt like it was a mature veteran type of performance, right? Got himself in some trouble, walked some guys, but never really got too loose. But then you look at the numbers, like, dang, he walked 4, only caved 3. What did you make of his performance, and how important was it for him to kind of set the tone?
Yeah, he did what he had to do. He did what the Mariners needed him to do. Sure, an ideal scenario, you get him, into the sixth inning, give him a little more length to kind of shorten the bullpen there a little bit. But this is what playoff baseball is in modern baseball. We've seen it over the last decade. These teams are relying more and more on their high leverage relievers in these situations. And, something we've never seen in Seattle before. Andres Munoz going 2 innings on Saturday, came right back, got the save last night in a clean 9th inning. We're going to see a ton more of that. We're going to see a ton of Matt Brash. We're going to see a ton of Edward Bazardo. We're going to see a ton of Gabe Spire. Those are the Mariners' 4 best arms out of that bullpen, and they're going to continue to lean on those guys. And again, I'm writing about Gabe Spire today, and what a season he's had. One of the best lefty relievers in baseball. And, he's huge in this series with the Tigers' 2 really good lefties in the middle of their lineup in that matchup. But, going back to Luis Castillo, just, 4 2/3. Yeah, the walks, I think, were a little frustrating for him, but only the 1 hit, and he didn't give up a run. So he certainly did his job, and I think we're going to see more of that, too, as the postseason rolls along here with Dan Wilson sort of getting his sea legs under him for the first time in the playoffs and figured out, for the most part, you have to have a quick hook for these starting pitchers. That's just what playoff baseball is. The first sign of trouble or the first time you're able to get into an advantageous matchup like they did last night with Spire. I think we're going to see more of that, and I think we need to see more of it.
You mentioned thinking this one will go to 5 games, end up back here in Seattle. I don't disagree. And so far, they've been pretty evenly matched with literally 3-2 games, both Saturday and Sunday. Is there something that you could see in tomorrow's game that might make you feel that the Mariners have a chance to take Game 4 if they were to win, obviously?
Yeah, I think it is a really big advantage for them getting Logan Gilbert to go in Game 3 here, get a chance to come on the road and go up 2-1, and really, kind of take the crowd out of it early. I think that was the one recipe that the Mariners used successfully in Houston a couple weeks ago to really take control of the AL West. They jumped on the Astros early and really quieted that crowd. We know what we felt it the last 2 days in Seattle, just with the atmosphere with the sellout crowd and the fans and just how much of a difference that can make. And the players have talked about it. Shoot, even the Tigers players were talking about it the last couple of days. Like, that was the best environment they've ever been in. And it's going to feel similar, I have no doubt, here at Comerica Park in Detroit the next couple of days. So the Mariners' ability to try to negate some of that by getting on the board early and with Logan Gilbert can get through the lineup, first time through and limiting the damage and just creating some momentum and quieting the crowd a little bit is going to be a huge priority, I think, for the Mariners. But again, just having Logan, a guy who was their true ace a year ago. Obviously, he had the first real major injury of his career in April and had to navigate his way through that. His strikeout numbers are through the roof this season. He's right even ahead of Tarek Skubal this season in strikeout rate, top 3 in all of baseball. Hasn't been quite as efficient because of it, but if he can get just into the 6th inning, I'm thinking of 5 1/3, 5 2/3. That really puts the Mariners in a great shape. With a day off today, the bullpen arms should all be available again tomorrow. And, I do expect another, 4-3 type game. The Tigers have Jack Flaherty, a veteran with a lot of postseason experience too, but actually kind of like the matchup for the Mariners bats. And if they can, I just watched Gino Suarez slip on the grass and throw a ball into the stands trying to get a hair. Sorry, I haven't seen that before.
Gino, stay safe.
This is live from Comerica Park here. I don't know. Do we have the broadcasting rights for infield work? But I think it sets up really well. I said this coming into the series. The Mariners, there's just a feeling around them and a feeling in the clubhouse. There's just a lot of confidence with this group. It's not arrogance. It's just they know they're good. They know they belong here, and they know they can compete with anyone. And I think they kind of got over the hump there in August with some of their road struggles, and it felt like they really exercised a lot of demons when they went to Houston, and it just feels like a team that knows what it's capable of right now, and they're ready to go out and show it.
It's been first 2 games been really cool seeing Julio come through clutch in those moments. I think that's something that a lot of fans just wanted to see. He's had historical numbers his first 4 years in the league, but coming through clutch in the playoffs has probably hit his next step. And then you see Cal kind of do his thing as well. How important is that for Julio himself, and who else do you feel like needs to contribute to this project tomorrow?
Yeah, it's obviously huge for Julio, 24-year-old. There's been so many stories, and one of the main storylines, the early part of his career is just sort of those clutch situations, right? He's always felt like he was trying too hard and swinging too much and just trying to hit, a 6-run homer every time he stepped up to the plate and do the impossible. And it's really good for him. And I think he even has sort of verbalized some of this stuff too, is just relaxing a little bit in the box, knowing that he's such a good athlete. He's so big. He's so strong. He can swing that bat so hard. But sometimes you just got to throttle back a little bit and relax and just put a nice, easy swing on it. And I can't picture off the top of my head 2 bigger swings Julio's had in his career than the home run in Game 1 on Saturday and then the game-winning double last night. He's clearly in a good space. He's been in a good space since the All-Star break, actually even going back here to Detroit. It's funny we're back here because this was the turning point for Julio specifically, but I think for the team as well. But when they were here in early July, they were coming off that sweep at Yankee Stadium. Brian Wu took that no-hitter into Yankee Stadium in like the 7th, 8th inning, and then they ended up losing that game. So it was a really tough series in New York. And then you had to come here into Detroit. At the time, the Tigers, I think, had the best record in all of baseball. And lo and behold, the Mariners swept them here and really kind of got themselves off the mat in such a good way. And Julio really took off in that series. And so it's interesting that it feels like in a lot of ways it's come full circle here. But I do think, too, there's something to the idea of Julio hitting behind Cal right now. They flipped after the trade deadline, and obviously this lineup is a lot deeper with Naylor and Gino in it, and I think that's taken a lot of pressure off Julio, and he feels that. He just looks so much more relaxed and calm, and like he just knows he doesn't have to be the hero every time he's up to bat. He's certainly capable of it, but we often saw him early in his career just wanting to be the hero, wanting to be that guy in every moment, and that's not what baseball is, right? You're just not going to get that opportunity every pitch or every time at the plate. Sometimes you just got to take your walk. Sometimes you got to hit a soft single to the right side, and I think he's learned a lot about when to take his shots and when to take his singles and when to sort of settle in certain situations. And it's been really fun to see him grow up and come in and really rise to the occasion here for this team.
Been an absolutely crazy sports weekend, so I apologize if Dan clarified this question post-game yesterday, Adam, but do we know who could be your starter in Game 4? And if it hasn't been announced yet, is there a name between maybe Kirby or Miller that you think might give Seattle an advantage here?
There hasn't been an official announcement yet. We might get that from Dan here after the workout. He's scheduled to have a press conference here. I suspect we'll find out. There could be a scenario where they're kind of are wait and see. I would suspect Bryce Miller would be the leading candidate, but perhaps if the Tigers win tonight, the Mariners might reassess that and turn to Kirby on short rest. I'd be a little surprised if that was the plan, but I think they're trying to be flexible and open-minded with that right now. But I know Bryce Miller has been gearing up and is eager to start Game 4 if he gets the call.
I always have all the answers after the game is played. Football, basketball, baseball, whatever, right? And I think fans are the same way. And there have been some moments where they question Dan's decision-making. We're talking the Munoz situation, obviously Castillo or whatnot. Not Munoz, sorry, Kirby. What have you made of his situation or his game management skills during those type of situations where you have to either go for matchup or you go for feel when you're talking about guys on the mound?
Yeah, every situation is different, and I think all managers will tell you that too. I wrote about this in the Times after Saturday night. It was, Dan Wilson, it's his first full season. He's basically a rookie out here, and it was his very first playoff game as well. And, it's a different atmosphere, and the game is different in the playoffs, and it needs to be managed differently. And who knows? Again, you can always say it's easy in hindsight to second guess when it doesn't work. But I was obviously telling when in almost the exact same situation yesterday, Dan turned around and did go to Spire there and it only took 4 pitches for Gabe Spire to strike out Kerry Carpenter. And look, we're going to see that again. That's going to happen again. They're going to call in Spire to face Carpenter and Riley Green, the two best sluggers in this Tigers lineup. And it's such an interesting chess match because then AJ Hinch, the Tigers manager, has a couple really effective right-handed bats off the bench. And that's just what the Tigers do more than any team in baseball. They're platoon heavy. They will pinch hit. He has pinch hit, as he said, as often or as early as the 3rd and 4th inning at times this year. He won't hesitate. Even if you're batting 2 or 3 in the lineup, he will pinch hit if he feels like it's the best matchup and the best situation for them. So I think Dan Wilson has had to adapt in that regard. And AJ Hinch, look, he's got a World Series ring with the Astros. He's tormented the Mariners for a long time. I think he's managed in 62 playoff games. That clearly has the experience that Dan Wilson doesn't. But it seemed like Dan was learning on the fly there and obviously made an adjustment for Game 2. And now it's about adjusting to the adjustment and seeing what Hinch's answer now is, his next move. And that's kind of the fun part of the baseball strategy. And look, they do game theory. They sit down and they go through all these different scenarios every day before the game, early, and everyone is involved in the organization. It's not just Dan Wilson. And so they're trying to work through all those things and what matchups do they like, what do they not, who's feeling okay out of the bullpen on this particular day. There are so many different things, but again, I keep coming back to Gabe Spire because he's left-handed, because he's been so dominant this year. He is such a key for the Mariners. I think he's the biggest key in pitching-wise, and I think that's absolutely going to be true for these next 3 games as well.
You were the one that had that story originally on Seattle Times of Naylor, welcoming his first child, which is great news, though I think they were expecting it could be kind of any day. So everyone's been on kind of like Naylor baby watch to see if he'd be leaving Saturday and Sunday. Any updates on the situation there?
Nothing yet. Like I said, we just got to the ballpark here. They're all working out. It's an off day today. There was some hope, I know, on Naylor's part that, maybe the timing-wise would work out where he could be in Arizona and get to meet his first kiddo and celebrate with his wife and family down there on this off day and maybe hustle back in time for Game 3. I haven't heard any update in the last couple of days specifically on that. But we'll obviously get to ask Dan Wilson here and maybe Naylor too as we get down to the field a little bit. But obviously at some point, Baby's going to be here and Naylor is going to head off as he should. And it's just a matter of how smoothly the delivery goes and how everyone's doing. Will depend on how long he takes. But he's allowed up to 3 games per the baseball CBA. I don't know that he's necessarily going to take those full 3 games. I'd be surprised, but it's just kind of a wait and see situation here, and they're going to make the best of it.
All right, he is Seattle Times' Adam Jude. Make sure you're following him for updates, which we should get here, at least about something, from Dan Wilson, who's going to be talking with these guys later today at @A_Jude on X.com, and, of course, his columns up on SeattleTimes.com. Thank you, Adam.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you having me.